You can't, in a way, live in Israel without knowing on a subconscious level that you're living on someone else's land. There's the cacti, you know, coming up of where a village used to be, and then I'll keep looking around and then I see the houses or the ruins of the walls.
Just right here is the sign. You want to get the sign probably, right? Now here they might chase us away, so you should do it quick.
Hi.
Hi. That's our historian,
Okay. Can I please ask you to shut down for a minute the camera and explain something?
The Israeli public now don't want to admit that they are treating another nation in a vicious and incorrect and inhumane way. They have been occupying another nation for more than 40 years. It's another culture, another religion, another type of living. Even the food is different. Even the way people dress is different. And yet, they don't want to accept that they are occupying another nation. They always think of it as if it's a benevolent occupation, as if the Arabs and the Palestinians are benefiting from the Israeli occupation.
You know, we're still in that situation of saying, no, this is our country exclusively. We're Judaizing it. The people that lived here had no claim to this land. They were not rightful inhabitants. And so what we did is not wrong. On the contrary, what we're doing until today is redeeming the land for the Jewish people. And as long as that's the view of most people, you're not going to have the reconciliation and the acknowledgement, I think.
The intense fear that Israelis have of Palestinians, like where does it come from? Because it's so vast, it's so big. And at some point I came up with the conclusion that because the Nakba is suppressed, because the fact that you're living on somebody else's land is suppressed, and you can't really deal with it, but you have to like justify to yourself in some way. I have to believe that they all want to kill me. Because if I don't believe them they all want to kill me, then how come I've kicked them off their land, and how come I can live here when they can't?
So this is all the places that they have, you know, raids, attacks and conquers, and there is Deir Yassin mentioned. There was attack. I mean, of course, nothing about massacre. In the schools, they teach the pupils something like more or less, okay, we had this war, we fight it, and it was just war, of course. We fought for our independent state, and because of the Holocaust, and because of
ولا بكيت عند أهلي، بكيت سلطان حالي، ولا بكيت في عز دلال، بكيت في عز دلال عند أهلي. يا ريتني متت، يا ريتني متت.
How did you first learn about Deir Yassin?
Okay, I knew about Deir Yassin since I was a child. Deir Yassin has been mentioned for all the Palestinian community and people since 40 years or more. But most of the history that is transferred from one generation to the other is through words from the parents to the kids.
I know a little bit about Deir Yassin. If my grandmother didn't tell me, there is no one that can tell me. Especially in Israel, the education ministry or the government, they have like a policy in the schools not to learn, not to tell people about what happened, just to make it more Israeli.
There is a key and a door, and which, you know, because the refugee is always to return to old house. So the first time I heard about Deir Yassin when I was kids, you know, and we start ask questions that why we are refugee, and you know, because I born in Saudi Arabia and we moved to Syria to live with the rest of my family, my sister and my brother, because there was no school for girls in Saudi Arabia at that time. Deir Yassin, it was a symbol because it was the first and a big massacre. A lot of people know about it.
This is the site of the village of Deir Yassin. The village is still intact. Deir Yassin is one of the few villages that remained intact after 1948. The Deir Yassin village is now a mental health center. So the buildings are used and they're all fenced in. You can't go into the village. Around here in all the lands of Deir Yassin is an ultra-Orthodox Jewish neighborhood. And this wall here is the Deir Yassin cemetery. There's no entrance to it. And you'll see what the condition of the cemetery is like.
The village of Deir Yassin traces back 700 years or more. It was a village of about 750 people, mostly stone cutters, who quarried limestone and cut it and shipped it to different places in the area. Most of the Arab houses in the village were heavy cut limestone houses with arches and gateways and so forth. Their land was desired to build a Jewish state. Their land was in the corridor between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and there was a plan formulated to drive all of the non-Jews out of that area. These were Arabs that were living there peaceably and were driven out because they were not Jews.